Okay, we're going to be learning the Gemara in Taanis over here on Yud Aleph. Just want to point something out from last time. On Yud, it said, "Yolom yikanis ad b'chi tov, yetze b'chi tov, yikanis b'chi tov." You should always leave your location when it's still day, when you're traveling, and you want to enter your destination while it's still day. Nowadays, the Shiar Mitzyonim B'Halach over here points out that that's not the custom because we have electricity, and a lot of the reasons for that don't necessarily apply. I just wanted to point that out. Also, we're going to be running through this stuff very fast. Original recordings, RabbiBlam.com. They want me to finish this in under a half an hour, so the quicker the better. Okay, we'll try to get as much clarity as possible. So we're going to start from Yud Aleph Amid Aleph, third line from the top. This is where we left off last time. Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Yehuda said the name of Kol Hamarev Atzmo Bishonei Rav whoever stars himself during years of famine will be saved from a weird death. So this is talking about that you aren't eating during a famine. So you're going to be saved from a weird death. That's what Rashi speaks out. Any type of death that doesn't happen from the Malach HaMavis, the angel of death, that is considered a weird death. Shneimar, as the pasuk states, "B'rav v'yisechem emavis," that from the famine I redeemed you from death. Merav mebayle, it should say from famine that a person over here was redeemed. Elahachi kama, rather, this is the intention of what it means. B'schar shemar v'atzma b'shnei bravo mitzvah misa mishun, and the reward that you are going to be starving yourself during the years of famine, will you be saved from a weird death? It's prohibited for a person to have relations during a year of famine, as the pasuk says that Yosef, you gave birth to two children before the famine came. Tano. However, we have a statement that what B'Sheni Ravon, that you could have people who don't have children. As Rashi explains, Chasidi Banim, people who don't have children, they are allowed to have relations during the famine over here. It's old Taisus over here who goes into it. Learns that this Gemara is Chasidus, nice but not necessary. Joseph didn't do it, other people did. He goes into it. There's different explanations. The Ritva says that it's more you have to do it over here, that this is completely prohibited. However, there's a difference between who the famine is by. He goes into it some different details. See the Ritva for more details. Also, the Ein Yaakov goes into it. Yosef, he had Ruach HaKodesh, and he saw that the children, that they were gonna be blessed, and that they were gonna help and be good for the Jews. A whole discussion, ben Yoyod. Anyways, Tanu Rabban, we have a brayso Zman Shel Shum B'Saro Perish Echem Mehem, when the Jews are in a state of pain, Uperish Echem Mehem, and one separates from them and doesn't fast. When so then the two angels come and they escort the person and they place their hands on the head of the individual and they say such and such a person separated from the congregation, he shouldn't see the consoling of the congregation. Similar, we have a similar Gemara in Shabbos Kuf Yutes, which discusses also two angels escort a person on his way home. Continuing the Gemara, Tanya Yidach, another brayso says, "Zman shasi b'shuri b'sar al yoyim yerodim elech habesi v'oichel v'eshtem v'shaloyim alecha nafshi." We have another brayso that says that at the time when the congregation is dwelling in a state of pain, person shouldn't say, "I'm going to go to my house, I'm going to eat and I'm going to drink, and then just peace is going to be on my soul." And if you're going to do this, I'll have a kasav Omer, and you the pasuk says, "V'hini sasim so it's talking about drinking and eating because the next day we're going to die. What does the pasuk say after Nagila Bazni Hashem Savakusim B'chapra Avon Azel Lachem Atamutun? I'm coming this benoinus. There's the close quote before ad. So it's a question if there's going to be a good atonement over here. So the Gemara says this is midas benoinus, that they're going to be afraid from death over here. Adkan means beinonim, the in between characteristic, average characteristic of midas rishon maksiv, but by the characteristics of wicked people. What does the pasuk say? It says that get the proper pronunciation here over here on the side. This is in Yeshaya. Etov kacha yayin v'nis ba'a sheichad. That I'm gonna come and we're gonna take wine and guzzle together beer. V'haya kazeh yoim macher gadol yaser moed. The next day is going to be great. Maksiv Basri would say after Hatzadik Ovid Vinish Shama Lev Kim Ibnei Harav Nesof Hatzadik, that the that this could no one's going to put it on their heart because of the mipnei hara, because of the bad. That's what the tzaddik, that's what the righteous person will pass. El yitzar atzmo mitzvah. Rather, the idea is over here that a person should pain himself with the congregation, which means when this is the theme of the what we're learning about. When the congregation is in pain, you have to join them. That we find by Moshe that he pained himself with the congregation. So if the congregation is in trouble, even if you're not there, you have to already lower your expectation. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, "V'yedim Moshe k'veidim." Moshe's hands were heavy. K'vichuvim yasimu tachtav. He took a rock and he put it under his hand. V'yishra aleha, and he sat in it. V'chilo hayelo lemoshe kar achas o kiseis achas leishav aleh. And did Moshe not have a pillow or a cushion, something to sit on? Elakacha mer Moshe. Rather, this is what Moshe said. Ho vil shol shulim b'sar. Since the Jews are in a state of pain, afani imahim b'tzar. I am also going to be with them in state of pain. V'kol mitzar atzmi matzibur zoicha v'ro b'nechamas sibur. And whoever pains himself with the congregation, he will merit and he will see the consolation of the congregation. V'shema yomer adam mi may be, and maybe a person will say, who will testify about me? Avnei beiso shel odom v'koiros beiso shel odom eden bo. It will be the stones of a person's house and the beams of a person's house. They will testify about him. Shenamar, the pasuk give him kir tizak, that the stones from the wall will shout out. The How do you pronounce this word over here? Vikopis meitana, and like a half a brick will answer him. As Rashi says, Chatzi Levena. The Beit Rabbi Shilo the two angels that escort the person will testify in him, as the pasuk says. The Rabbi Chidka Oimer Nishmasu Shaladam he meidil, the soul of a person will testify about him. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, Mishkavski Kecha Shemer Piski Pichav Yesharmim. Some say the Yevar Shaladam, but the limbs of a person will testify in him. Shneimar, as it says, Atem Edinu Hashem, you are my witnesses. So said Hashem. Kel Amuna Ve'in Avil. So this is talking about that Hashem is a God of trust over here, and there is no wrong. Kelamuna, what's that talking about? That he's a God of trust. Yishim in front of me, Rasham Olam Haba Afilu Alavera Kala Shoisa Kachin from me Sadikim Olam Haza Alavera Kala Shoisin. That just like we are going to pay back the wicked people in the next world, even for a small sin that they did, so too we're going to pay from the righteous people in this world on a small sin that they did. Meinavel, what does it mean that there's no wrongdoing? Kishim Shemashlimin schar l'sadikim olam haba afilo mitzvah kala shoisin kach mashlimin schar l'rishon olam haza afilo mitzvah kala shoisin. That just like we're going to pay uh, reward for the righteous people in the next world, even on a small mitzvah that they do, so too we're going to pay reward for the wicked people in this world, even on a small mitzvah that we do. Sadik v'yasharhu, a righteous person and he's straight. So this teaches us that at the time, Pitzirotso Shaladim Lebeis Alamo Kol Ma'asev Nefrat and Lafon V'Armi Lokach V'Kach Asitza B'Makom Ploini B'Yoim Ploini. That you see from over here that when a person is going to pass away to the next world, all of his actions Nefrat, and they're going to be specified before him, and they're going to say, this is what you did in such and such a place. Vu Oimer, and he's going to say, Hin, yes, I did this. Varmin lo chasam, and they're going to tell him to sign. V'choisim, and he will sign. Shemar, as the pasuk says, Biyad kol adam yachtov, he's going to sign. This is so easily to understand. Others have pointed this out nowadays, that it's so easy for us to imagine this because of videos and everything, that every single act could be recorded and they're going to remember it perfectly when we go up. Below Elan that Shematzak Lovas did. Voimer lo Yafa Dani Suni Lakayim Ashnemer Lamantasik Wajecho. So they're gonna judge him over there, and they're gonna say that he's gonna say that it was good, the judgment. Amar Shmuel says Kol Yosheb Taanis and Krachota. So this is a new discussion over here. This is talking about whoever sits in a fast. Whoever fasts is considered a sinner. This isn't talking about a communal fast when there's an obligation to do so. This is more of an optional. Savar, he's gonna hold ki hai Tana, like the following brisa. Following Tana. Tanya, the brisa says, Rabbi Eliezer kfar b'Rabbi Yomi, Rabbi Eliezer, he comes along and says, Matam aloymar. What does the pasuk mean when it says v'kiper alov? So this pasuk is actually talking about a nazir over here. This is talking about he's going to bring in a korban sacrifice because he came into contact with the deceased, a mace. The keeper of love, it's going to atone for him. Asher chatal nefesh, he sinned on a person. V'chi beis nefesh chaytzeh. Which person did he sin with? El shasir atzman yain. Rather, the Nazir, he pained himself by abstaining from wine. V'lo dvarim kal v'chomer is not a kal v'chomer. U'mazeh shelo sir atzman lemne yain nikra choyte. If this person who only pained himself from wine, and he's still called a sinner, hamatzar atzman called davar davar alchas kama v'kama. Someone who pains himself from everything, all the more so. Rabbi Elazar Oimer Nikra Kadosh. Rabbi Elazar says he's called holy. Shnei as the pasuk says, Kadosh Yeh Gadol Peres Sadoisho. Mazeh Shleisir Atzma Midavar Echad. If this person he only pained himself with one thing and still Nikra Kadosh, he's called holy. Matzar Atzma called Davar Delachas Kavakama. Someone who pains himself from everything, all the more so. So we have a fundamental machloikis over here between according to Rabbi Eliezer, it's going to be a problem over here to actually be involved with the whole Nazir. According to Rabbi Eliezer, no, it's great. Shmuel, according to Shmuel, ha'ikre kadosh hu agidol perakai. That was the reason why he's called holy. That's referring to the hair over there. That's referring to the hair. Because remember, Shmuel's the one who said you're called a sinner if you are gonna fast, like an optional fast. So what are you gonna do with this idea that Rabbi Eliezer said? That and he's going to be called holy. Kodesh, yeah, what are you going to do with that pasuk over there? No, that's only going on the hair. But he himself isn't called holy. According to yeah, so that's the idea. So you have Rabbi Elazar, and then you have Rabbi Elazar Hakfar. So don't confuse them. According to according to Rabbi Eliezer Hakfar over here, he's called a sinner. According to Rabbi Eliezer, he's called Kadosh, he's called holy. So that's the difference. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Elazar hanikra choyte hahi desoiv nafshe. According to Rabbi Eliezer, that the sinning is that's talking about because he can contaminated himself to a soul. When we Amar Rabbi Elazar, did Rabbi Elazar really say that? Amar Rabbi Elazar, but wait a second, Rabbi Elazar says loylam yulamad matzim. Person should always measure kilu kadosh as if he is holy. Shar b'toch meyav that he is dwelling in his intestines. Shneimar zapas kadosh v'lo avobir. So this is talking about you're not allowed to fast. That's what we see as Rashi explains. So the Gemara says, no, lo ikasha hadimati lusiri nafshi lamati lusiri nafshi. It depends if you're able to pain your soul or not. If you're able to pain your soul and you could withstand the fast, that's great. However, if you're not able to endure it, then you're a sinner. Reish Lakish Amar Nikra Chassid. You're actually someone who fasts is called pious. Shemar the pasuk says Gomer Nafsho. He's going to bring good to his soul. Each for the person Chassid, Chesed va'oicher she'aroi, etc. Rav Sheshes. Hi Bar Rav. This student Yosef Taanis, who is sitting in a fast. Lichul kalva l'shedusei. Let him eat the dog by his meal, which means it's because he, which means over here, what does Rashi over here explain? This is a little bit cryptic over here. Rashi says that the dog ate his meal. That's what it was. It's because the dog ate his meal, which means the only reason why this guy is fasting is because he don't got no food. So therefore, the idea over here is someone who's going to fast. Um, it's just like because you don't have any food. That's why you're fasting over here. Omar Rabbi Yirmiyah Bar Abba in Taanis Sibor Bebavel Latisha B'Av Bilvod. So Rabbi Yirmiyah Bar Abba comes along and says you can't fast in Bavel except for on Tisha B'Av alone, which means Rashi over here explains that this is referring to the prohibitions of the stringencies of fast. So Rabbi Yirmiyah is teaching us over here an insight that this is similar to mourning, that the only time you could do that is basically on Tisha B'Av. Right? That's when you're not allowed to wear the leather shoes. That's what it's saying over here. Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Ava, a scholar is not allowed to sit in a fast because it will decrease from his heavenly work. Take a look at the Rambam in Hilchos Deos Perikim Alach. Look at the Lechem Mishnah over there as well for more details. Long Lechem Mishnah, a lot of this over there. Okay, so that's the idea. Interesting statements about fasting. Tosfos over here points out that they weren't allowed to fast on Tisha B'Av. They didn't need to fast because they had an abundance of rain, which is the main reason why they used to fast. They didn't have rain. That was basically their whole source of income and economy. Gemara continues. Rabbi Zeido said the name of Ravuna. Yochid shekibol of Taanis afilu achol v'shal sakol alayla l'machudu mespalel tfilas Taanis. If you have an individual who accepted upon himself a fast, even if he ate and drank the entire night, the next day he is going to daven the davening of a fast over here. So what's the situation over here? So he accepted upon himself to fast. He ate and drank the entire night. The next day he's got to daven as a fast. So Rashi over here goes into it a little bit more. This refers to he has to be mispal tefillas tainis. This refers to anenu. He has to say the anenu insertion the next day. Lon betainiso. This is talking about if he slept in a fast. What's this talking about over here? He accepted a fast on himself and he didn't eat after the fast. And he went to sleep that night until the morning. The next day, the Bached's Lamachar Inim is Palashal Tainis. He's not able to say Aninu before he eats. Amar Rav Yosef, Mike Sava Ravuna. So Rav Yosef said, what does Ravuna hold? Mike Sava, what does he hold? Ravuna Sfiralein Mesainin Lashois. O Dilma Mesainin Lashois from Sal Lashon Mispal Tfilas Tainis. Does he hold that you're not allowed to fast just for a few hours? Or maybe you're allowed to fast for a few hours, but someone who does so would not say Anenu. Amalei Abaye says Lo'ilim Kesav Ravun Mesanim L'Shalos. Abaye says really Ravuna holds you could fast just for a few hours. Mesanim L'Shalos V'Sal Tfilas Tainis. And really, someone who just fasts for a few hours, he would daven what you say in a fast. He would say, "Hey Anenu." Shani over here is different. The Isay shows the Laila Delokel Be'alem Yikara. Over here is different because there are some times of the night that he didn't accept on himself originally. Rashi over here explains that he didn't accept it. He goes into more some of the details. Mar Ukva, Ikle, Liganizak, Mar Ukva visited the city of Ganizak, Bominay, and they asked him a question. Could you just fast for a few hours or not? Oh, he didn't know. The the flasks or the jugs, barrels of the people who aren't Jewish, are they prohibited or permissible? He didn't know the answer over here. He's talking about, Rashi explains that they put wine in there to keep it there. He didn't know. What did Moshe wear for the 7 days of the inauguration? He didn't know. Also, Mar Ukva went, Vishal B'Midrash, he asked the people who were learning the yeshiva. Amar lei, and they told him, "Ochsam esan l'sham l'spal tefillas tainim sochosok and king chol nachrim la'achar shnayim asar chodesh mutarim b'mashi ub'ma shimesh Moshe kol zayin yimei melum b'chaluk lavan." They said the halacha is that you could fast just for a few hours, and if you do so, you would say anenu. The halacha is these jugs of the people who were in Jewish after 12 months, they're permissible. What did Moshe serve with for the 7 days? A white garment. Now, after 30 days, Rashi explains the flavor of the wine of the yayin nesach already goes away, and it's permissible. He goes into it. Excuse me. Rav Kahana Masim B'cholok Lovan Shein La Imro. Rav Kahana said that this is talking about a white garment that doesn't have a hem. Rav Chizra said, Hoda Amart Mitzan L'Sha'ois V'hu Shaloi Tom Klum Ad Erev. That what you said that you're allowed to fast just for a few hours, that's talking about if you didn't taste anything until the nighttime. So Rashi over here explains that that which we say that the few hours that you fasted is good, that's talking about that you didn't taste anything until night. So Rashi says over here on top, Okay, Rashi goes through the entire cheshbon over here. You finish the whole day, Rashi says. Now, Amar le Abaye, ha, Taanis Mel Yossi, that's a full-fledged fast. No, it's talking about that you changed your mind, which means you didn't know at all that you're gonna fast, but you just had a burden. Rashi says, "Climber lo hayabadaiso klalasanos." You didn't expect on fasting. Elo osi lay tir. You had a burden. V'lo achal chatziyom. You didn't eat until midday. Chimata chatziyom mam lechamer hoy mezan v'hisanesi ad chatziyom mezan kol hayom. He said, "Yeah, since I already reached the half day, the half point of the day, I'm just gonna continue fasting." Yeah, pick it up from your next time.